What's up, geeks and gamers? It's Jeremy, and I am joined today by the famous Erik July, YoungRippa. What's up, YoungRippa?
Man, doing good. I can't complain. I'm glad we finally are able to rock this out, man. And I appreciate you having me on.
No, man, it's great to have you on. I met you on the live stream with Anna, that Star Wars girl, and you and I really clicked really well, and we've had a few live streams since then, and definitely wanted to get you on so we can have a more fleshed out discussion and kind of talk about you and the culture war and all the craziness going on. So
yeah.
I guess for anybody that's watching this video as an introduction, just give us a little background as to who you are and what's gotten you to this point of having over 100,000 subs on YouTube and everything else is going on.
For sure. Well, where you know me from all depends on, where you know me from. I try to dab in a little bit of everything, but, I'm a musician, obviously frontman of the band Backwards, BACKWORDZ. So being able to do that, and I fronted, this isn't the only band that I fronted that's been semi-successful, obviously the band that I was in before. So I already had that sort of dynamic going on there, and obviously with me being a political commentator and owning, co-founding BeingLibertarian.com, and it was just one of those things where it was the perfect storm, I guess, for my channel, because I started my channel, believe it or not, I was 16 years old, so that was what, 06, when I started my channel, and when I started doing like vocal covers. And about, let's say, I had to be like early 2010, so that's probably like 2011 or something like that, where I started doing vocal covers, and my channel started to grow with that. And as I was dabbing in these different things, and I was seeing success in multiple different things, like on the metal and punk and hardcore side, and you had the politics, I was like, well, my YouTube needs to more so reflect of who it is, who I am, and probably give people like, the inside scoop on what it is that I like to do just as an individual. So that's when I started to open things up, and I started to talk about comics a lot, because that's a thing that I thoroughly enjoy. Obviously, I'm really into it. And, one thing led to another, and then the channel just exploded. Like, granted, I did have quite a few. I had like 30,000 subs before I started doing the comic book stuff. But then I started doing that, and it seemed to catch on. And it seemed like people were sticking around because of the perspective that I had on different things, as well as obviously me being a musician, and we could talk about all these different things. Mm-hmm. So it was just a matter of me just saying, hey, you know what? I need a hub so people can just come see what I'm all about. Everybody knows me from different things, but I can send them all here. So no matter where you come from, you can go to my channel and you can just learn more about me and get the inside scoop on my thoughts and stuff like that. So one thing led to another, and the channel, man, just exploded over the past year and some change. So it started with a lot of like the Supergirl talk that I would do.
Pointed me to the direction of some of that cringe.
Yeah. So the Supergirl stuff started popping off, and
I think I should be mad at you for pointing me to that. I haven't quite recovered since then.
Man. No, I know, man. It sucks, man. Like it's hard to watch. It's certainly hard to watch. But if anything, I can certainly thank them for giving me some material that a lot of people, enjoyed, certainly in terms of the content and just getting out there and just being vocal about it. Like you mentioned, this is a culture war, and just it's getting to the point to where it's just so irritating that we're seeing a lot of individuals, SJWs and whatnot, that are just trying to really infest our fandoms, our subcultures that we are a part of. And I was just one of the ones that just got out there. You're like, no, we're not having this, and it's getting out of control.
And that's obviously I want to get deeper into a little bit of the political stuff with you and everything. So, I mean, I don't even know this honestly, because I know that you have you're obviously very versed in politics and everything, but we've really never had a real political discussion. And I don't want to go full politics, but as much as I want to talk about like how it's impacted you, because you obviously are not a white dude, spoiler alert. Yet the narrative always says that it's just angry white dudes that have opinions that go against the far left. And you're just as much against the far right as you are the far left, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah. It's like I said, I'm a libertarian, and I recognize, granted, I have my criticisms of different philosophies, different ideologies and stuff like that. But certainly because, and I know a lot of people get irritated, like, hey man, you rag on the left so much. I used to be a leftist, right? And then I see that where that ideology took a lot of my communities and stuff like that, and how a lot of these, communities been ran into the ground by, mainstream leftists like Democrats and stuff like that. So I'm coming from that perspective, and I can recognize that threat. And considering that I'm an artist as well, it seems like every artist is a staunch leftist.
Yep.
So, with that being said, it's like, well, yeah, I see them as the bigger threat, because when you consider what I'm involved in, like with the music or with whatever it is, and even where I'm at on the political side, I see them the most. You know what I mean? And they in my face. And again, because I'm a libertarian, just me being a non-leftist, these fools really hate the fact that I'm a black person, and I don't adopt the views of the mainstream left. So I get the believe it or not, all the derogatory statements, the racism that I get, it's not coming from the far right. You know what I mean? It's coming from the leftists. As soon as they figure out that, well, hey, this guy is supposed to have these views, he doesn't have them. And therefore something must be wrong.
You challenge their entire platform of everything they stand on. If they see a black person like you or Candace Owens or, Kanye West, when he started speaking out and going, oh wait, they're not saying what they're supposed to say. And this is challenging this fake lie that we're continuing to build. And it's threatening to them. And it's so laughable that once they see a black person or a non-white dude, basically, is really what it comes. Once a non-white dude speaks out against their philosophy and their narrative, they become the same thing that they're claiming they hate, which is so full of racism and bigotry and misogyny, and they dismiss people. And it's so funny to watch it happen. And all you have to have is a level of common sense. I mean, me personally, I do not have a political party I align with. I just don't. I grew up and raised as a Republican. And once I got old enough to realize that party politics is garbage, and I have I can't align myself with a letter. I just can't go like I'm an R or I'm a D just because that's what I'm supposed to. Like, I like to take a step back and look at everything. And it's funny because these people are like, Jeremy's a far right Trump supporter. And I'm like, bro, it was down to Bernie and Trump who I was going to support. It was down to Bernie and Trump. And the reason, and ultimately I would have supported Trump against Bernie, but I wasn't even sure Trump was going to get the nomination at the time. I still couldn't believe it. And I've followed Donald Trump for a long time. I've always liked Donald Trump from an entertainer standpoint with the Celebrity Apprentice. But during that election, I mean, even when it started out, I thought it was a PR stunt by Trump. I was like, but I was watching it for the entertainment value. And he kept on and kept on. And I was like, all right, the smaller the Republican nominees get, the more support Trump will lose, because right now it's all spread out. Right. No, it never happened. But then when Bernie basically got just completely screwed by Hillary and they cheated, and I was like, I'm never going to support Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
But my whole thing with Trump and Bernie is, and obviously the policies are completely different, but what they both represented was that they could upset the establishment. They could challenge the establishment, and the establishment didn't like either one of them. And I like I guess I'm a political anarchist in that sense. Yeah, I hate the system, and politics is nothing more than a popularity contest. And I've always said that. It's not about policy. It's not about what you've accomplished. It's about who's likable enough, and who's got the name recognition and yada, yada, yada. And so, yeah, I see people like, yourself and like I said, Candace Owens, and there's so many others that, that are speaking out. Officer Brandon, who's always on Fox News speaking out about everything. And it's just unreal how they treat a black person with an opinion that doesn't line up with their own. And
it is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I mean, and the thing is, that makes it so funky, is because it's like you said, like really you just have to be a it's more so being a non-leftist black person, right? like you can be whatever else. You could be like I said, you can be a conservative, libertarian, like a staunch libertarian, like an anarchist, like myself, and you can be whatever, as long as you just don't adopt the mainstream leftism. And you're a black person, they're going to jump. They're gonna annihilate you, like publicly, in whatever way that they can. They're gonna jump down. They're gonna call you all sorts of names, and this is why their whole diversity and inclusion thing that they so desperately point out all the time. That's just a gimmick, man. It's only inclusive when you agree with them, and the minute you don't agree with them, they will call you whatever name they can figure out. And in the book, like I said, I get this stuff in my inboxes on all major platforms. You name it. People calling me all sorts of names in my comments and stuff like that, and it just rolls off of me. But no, that's just what I get, simply because, again, I don't go there with my politics. And I also have some great arguments and positions because I know where they're coming from, because I used to adopt those silly positions and being a youngster. You know what I mean? Being a Obama supporter early, and it was 2008. The first camp, I was off that train immediately, probably going into 2010. But most definitely I was campaigning for him and whatnot. And so I already just be growing up. I knew the positions already. So now I get to be like, you know what? No, I know exactly where you're coming from. I even know the arguments that you're making, but these are why they're garbage. Here, and here. And they don't like that. They don't like that because, again, like you mentioned, they're perpetuating this idea that they're the champion for the minority. They're the champions for black people. And if you disagree with them, then you are racist, you are whatever. And like you said, you get called far extremist. I get called that. I get called alt-right sympathizer, all names. And this is what we saw coming from the whole Vox Adpocalypse thing, and that. And I was trying to warn people about this. I was like, you can't reason with these types of people because they're not trying to call you these names because they're trying to be honest, or they even really feel that you are. The goal is to get as many people as they can in that same box that the vast majority of people can recognize as something negative. That's all it is. It doesn't matter if they're vastly different in terms of ideologies. Like even as a person like myself or Candace, we differ a lot in politics, but if they can get me, Candace, you, anybody that's against the left and there, they can get us in that box of alt-right or far right, whatever buzz term, fascist
word. Yeah, extremist is a new term now that this.
They move around. They move around month to month. They find a new term, Nazi, fascist, whatever. They'll come up with a new term by next month. Maybe even by the time this is live or whatever, they'll find a new term. They always find a new term, and that's because, again, they're trying to lump all of these individuals in these boxes. Like they're against us, and they just act like they have monopoly on the truth, and they act like they have monopoly on being cordial, being respectful, or anything like that, which is weird. This is why they always say if you are against them, like you're a racist or something like that, because they think they can inherit that sort of righteousness. Like I am the non-racist, and everybody that agrees with me are non-racist. But if you disagree with me, you are the racist, and all it is just it's completely intellectually dishonest. And this is why I think it's key that we knock that stuff down where it stands.
You are 100% right, and I say this as genuine as I possibly can. It's worse for like I have it easier with calling this stuff out in my position, being a white dude. I recognize that. That's not to say that it's easy per se, because getting called all of these names, it doesn't sting as much as it used to, because all these words have been so watered down. I'm almost desensitized to it. I mean, growing up, if you called somebody a racist or a sexist, it's a bad word, and I'm like, holy shit, bad person. But now I see it with a lot of the female content creators for Geeks and Gamers. The Jessies and Anna. When they speak out, I see they just face a mountain more of criticism than I do. And obviously, you being African American dude, you speaking out, you're very eloquent in what you say. You know what you're saying. You're very well spoken. You've got a strong voice, and that is the worst thing that you can have. And because of that, because when I speak out, I'm the guy that they've already painted the whole movement to be, an angry white dude. So it's like they can point to me and they go, see, I told you, look at that white dude. But when you do it, or when Jesse or Anna or somebody does it, Oh no, that you have completely, you are challenging their entire platform, and you getting any kind of visibility or a voice, it just destroys everything that they're trying to build their nonsense on. And so in that sense, they try to just come up with a whole different set of lies for why you are the way you are.
Yeah, like right, yeah, like somebody's controlling us, somebody's were paid. It's
With
all
the white
kind.
man's bidding, all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
I mean,
all of that type of stuff.
like with the Star Wars nonsense, you know, Jesse did a video for me, I don't know, this is a year ago probably. And you know, for all the content creators, for Geeks and Gamers, I mean, there might be a time or two I'll throw an idea somebody's way, but 99% of the time it's whatever idea they want to come up with. And yeah, there might be a line that gets crossed here and there, and I have to dial them back. But for the most part, I don't micromanage anything. So Jesse came up with the idea, you know, about I can't remember the specific title of the video, but it was something to do with we need more real men in Hollywood because we're losing real men. And Jesse talked about how she's attracted to like strong men, and we don't have strong men in movies anymore. And I can't remember the exact title of the video, but it was something to that effect, like we need more real men in Hollywood. Some guy, this Star Wars, this left-wing Star Wars dude, screenshot it and put it on his Twitter account and built the whole thing around me making this video. So he never watched the video. He just looked at the title and just thought automatically Jeremy made this video. So then in the comments, they're just absolutely destroying me, saying this guy is so threatened by women. He's so threatened by women. And then people are like, hey, did you watch the video? Because it's actually a woman that made the video. And then they flip the narrative automatically, because what they always do is they move the goalpost and they go,
every time.
She's just being controlled by Jeremy. And I'm like, have you guys ever watched Jessie Milestone? Do you think I have any control over her? Fireball. And
so
it's like total disrespect for her as a human being, as a woman, to say she can't have that opinion because that opinion goes against their belief system and their platform. So therefore she must be controlled by Jeremy, the angry white dude. And
it's robbing individuals of their agency is what it is. And that's what makes it so insulting when they do that. Again, like you mentioned, I experienced that. You know, it's like I got to be controlled. It's like they talk about so-and-so of being libertarian, they're controlling him. It's like, dude, I co-founded it. That's me. I'm not just a mouthpiece for being libertarian. I actually founded the daggum thing. You know what I mean? But no, that just goes to show, you know, this bigotry by way of low expectations is what it is, and that they expect one thing of you, being a minority, in like Jesse's case, being a female, in my case, being a black man. They expect that we are supposed to think this way. That's the way we got to think. And if we don't, then something has to be wrong with us. You know what I mean? And again, like I say, what it is robbing people of their agency, women. And it's funny because these are the same people that are equality and all of this. It's like, well, you act like nobody can have an opinion outside of the norm, that it's all completely based on their identity. You know, and again, that's insulting. It's not taking into consideration that no matter where you're from, definitely in America's case, individuals are a lot more diverse, I mean, in individuality, than a lot of people like to give them credit for. It's not this monolithic sort of thing. Yes, there's demographics that exist. I acknowledge those all the time, which people are, you know, they may go one way, they may go a different way, or there may be a trend pushing them that way. And I totally understand that. But in the same respects, people come from different areas and they have different cultures and subcultures that they are part of, that they're familiar of, and it differs, you know, from race to gender and all. It's not just one block, you know what I mean, where everybody that's a white a woman has to think this way, or everybody as a black man has to think this way. It's just completely it's ignorant to the reality of the situation, but more so it just robs individuals of their agency. And you're telling them that, well, no, you have to think like that, and if you don't, well, something's wrong with you, as if I couldn't come to these conclusions by myself.
Exactly. And that's you got down to the core of it right there, robbing individuals of their agency. I don't know why we are in this. I don't know how we've gotten to this particular point in time where opinions are so scary. People need other people to validate their opinions. And that's what I'm trying to do with Geeks and Gamers is because it's not about me. It's not about my opinions. You go through my website and I don't look at the like, I'm not saying I don't look at them, but I don't look at them in advance of them going to the website to go, okay, first of all, what did you review this movie before I allow it on my web? I don't do that. We don't do that as a company, and my leadership team doesn't do that. Everybody's voice is valid, and no one person's voice speaks for the brand. Everybody collectively does. Just like a few weeks ago, Jessie made a video on the channel, you know, about the abortion topic. She's got some very strong opinions on that. I do not agree with her on that, and she got pretty lit up on this channel about it. And I give her full credit for that, for the fact that she knew she was going into the lion's den. She knew the audience that she was speaking to was going to rip her apart, and she did it. And she knew I would have her back, and I did 100%. And I had people threatening to unsub and all this stuff. Was like, don't, just, that's the wrong, you are barking up the wrong tree right now. If you think you're going to hold a subscription over me, this is what Geeks and Gamers is about. It's freedom of speech, freedom of opinions. And there's very few lines a person can cross where I would go like, this is detrimental to the brand.
Right.
And that's what I want to see more of the world, man. I want to see people have opinions, man. I grew up with a sports background. We talk so much shit, you know. I came up with I'm gonna go ahead and show my my black credentials right now. I grew up with the East Coast, West Coast with Tupac and Biggie. And I'm going like thinking about all the locker rooms I've been in with sports and football and basketball. And I hear these people get offended over a word, and I'm like, bro, how could you could not have done, like, how could you have stood in a locker room? You know, it's like, I love when Trump said it was locker room talk when he was grabbing his, like, it kind of what dudes talk shit. That's what we do.
Yeah, that's just the reality. I don't know why everybody wants to pretend like that's not the case, but that's what happens. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you 100% on the idea that we need more people that are willing to put themselves out there, right, and have an opinion that, and again, if they come to it by way of, you know, logic or whatever, if they have it, I feel like they should be able to put it out there, and whatever happens, happens. Like I said all the time, on my channel all the time, when I get to talking this anarchist stuff, I get all these, you know, people that are, how dare you, could you say this about military? And I'm like, you know, it is what it is. Y'all know where I'm at with it, man. I'm an anarcho-capitalist. It's not a secret. And I'm not going to apologize for that. I am not going to apologize for that at all. That's just where I'm at with it.
And I saw you made a tweet the other day, and I wasn't even aware of you can correct me if I'm wrong on it. It was a tweet. It was, I guess, somebody in the military committed a crime or something. You're like, this is why I don't automatically praise military like that. I was like, I like that. I like that idea, you know? I mean, I generally have a lot of respect for the military and police officers at its core, simply because they're doing a job I don't do. But I'm not overly patriotic per se. Don't get me wrong, I love my country, but I'm not overly patriotic. I mean, I respect the entire world for the most part, and I'm thankful I'm in my country I'm in. But I appreciated that perspective, because, you know, a lot of people will just blindly just praise, you know, military or police just without the details. And I saw that you were like, man, this guy really pays attention to details. And so even if I don't fully agree with him, I totally respect where he's coming from.
Most definitely. Yeah. Like I said, and that's what, again, I come to my conclusions by way of, there's a reason behind it. You know what I mean? Like it's usually something, if I put my opinion out there, it's usually on something that I've thoroughly researched and I thoroughly understand. I'm not one of those guys that feels like they have to have an opinion about every single thing. But if I put it out there, you best believe I'm out there ready to defend it because I understand it, and it's something that I've usually been advocating for years at this point. But my thing, and I mean, it's really, it just goes to libertarianism and goes to me being that anarcho-capitalist that I am, and that I believe that those ideas should be able to put out there, and the best ideas should win. And this is where leftists fail miserably, because they know, I think they may recognize that their arguments aren't that good. They're really flimsy, which is why they're so aggressive in trying to shut down the opposite opinion instead of actually having to have this discussion. Like I get into it with these blue check mark leftists on Twitter all the time. And I have since I've had a blue check mark, so this is for years. And I cannot tell you, because I actually can tell you, I never will they accept, hey, I want to debate you. I say it all the time. I'm like, hey, man, how about this? Like, we take it out of the echo chambers that is Twitter. Let's get on screen. I will go to your platform. We can do it in person or whatever. Let's have an honest discussion about the topic at hand. and they just refuse. Now, I, as a content creator and as well as a political commentator, I have been on just about every single platform, major conservative platform that you can think of. I've been on Fox News, I've been on Blaze, I've been on all these channels and had some sort of conversation. I never had to hold my tongue when I did it. And I don't accept them all the time. Do I get them all the time? I don't accept them all the time. I'm very like, all right, selective in what I did. Like when I appeared with Tucker Carlson, we were talking about minimum wage and stuff like that. And you know, it depends on what the subject matter is. I won't just go in there and talk about anything because I won't be pigeonholed. But nonetheless, they will at least invite me on. Like I can go on the Blaze like right now down the street and have a conversation with them and be openly ANCAP, you know what I mean? And they'll know that, okay, we don't agree with everything, but it's like whatever, they'll have a conversation with me and whatnot. The guys on the mainstream left, never. They will openly decline. Like, no, I will not say, instead I'm gonna tweet at you, I'm gonna do all of this. No, we're not gonna have a conversation. And it's like, it's kind of weird, but it goes to show that I really don't believe that they have a lot of conviction in what it is they believe in. They just recognize that in a lot of subcultures, they have been able to maintain this illegitimate like political monopoly, and they have control of the narrative because they control education. They control, that's why I'm always telling people to take their kids out of public schools, but they control the education. They control, your kids' favorite artists, the actors that they like in Hollywood, all of those, for the most part, 90% mainstream leftism. And the ones that aren't, they don't speak up enough. There's a select few that will, but for the most part, it's mainstream leftism across the board, which is why every major election cycle, you get these guys bug dancing for Democrats, whether it be actors, actresses, and you know, teachers and the professors and all that. They've been able to just have control of the narrative, and they don't want it to be questioned. And this is why it goes as far as it goes. And this is why I'm not a political guy. It's not just because I'm an ANCAP, you know what I mean? It's because I believe that if this war is going to be won, we gotta meet them where they're at and where they're able to get all this influence. That's in art, that's in culture, that's in things of that nature. Because I don't see more so. It's like the culture is up here, the politics down here. It's on a downstream, right? So you change the culture, by default, the politics change.
And that's a good point you bring up, and this is something else I want to kind of segue into, and that is, this is the difference between the far left and the far right. I don't have anything for the far left or the far right. I mean, anybody who's way out there on one side or the other, who doesn't really want to listen to reason, it's not really something I'm interested in. But here's the difference: the left controls the media, they control entertainment, they control tech. They control it all. And that is the problem. And when people go, oh, you just hate the left, it's not about just being upset with the far left. It's about the fact of the left controlling our movies, our video games, our comics, our tech, our media. And like right now with YouTube, YouTube is the greatest thing that's probably could be created in this internet age. And it's wonderful. It gives us all a voice. It gives us all an opportunity. It gives us all an opportunity to get out there and build our audience and speak to so many people. And now it's being bogged down by YouTube saying they're going to define hate speech. What? You know, and all this box stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, they control it. And this is why, and I'm not going to speak for you, but I'd be curious to know if that's pretty much in line with how you look at it, that the far left, they control so many.
Absolutely. I know that I will confirm and amplify that point, because it's 100% true. It is one of the main reasons why when we started Backwards, my band, I was like, you know what, look, dudes, we don't have to make every song about, you know, libertarianism or anything like that, but we got to be open with it. You know what I mean? Because there's literally no sort of there's no alternative line of thinking. Every metalcore or hardcore band right now is just staunch leftism. You know what I mean? They get on stage of Trump, yada yada. It's the same thing. It's nothing new. There's no alternative to this. Now, this was before the Trump thing, but what I'm saying is that it's like there's no alternative, right? So when we existed, and like when we dropped our first album in Veracity, a couple of years ago, and it was like it blew. Obviously, the album, it was successful. Billboard charted top 10, top 15 on multiple, like 9 charts. A total of #1 alternative new artist, #2 heat seeker album. Like we killed it. We absolutely killed it, and would have killed it more had we not had a crazy release, because we had to release the same week as like Mastodon and so many other individuals, like Ice-T's band Body Count. They dropped their album the same week we did. So it was a crazy week for metal that we had to compete with. We would have did better than that had we did it on like a dead week. But no, it was like, my thing was that I realized that art and everything that was surrounding, I go to these hardcore shows, I'm deeply involved in these scenes, and it's like, dang, everybody is a leftist. And no, it's like nobody even thinks to question this. It's like I get people that come up to me, start talking about this. I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. I don't even have those views, bro. Like, no. Like, don't come up to me with that. Like, I don't have those views. I'm about to disagree with you, and here's why. But we got out there and we were breath of fresh air because, we were like unapologetic with it. But they do control. They control leftists control everything. And this is why I emphasize them way more than I emphasize the right. Though I will criticize them, and usually when I criticize them heavily, it's because they take a leftist position. Like if I see these mainstream conservatives, for example, get to compromising on gun ownership and stuff like that, it really, really irritates me. You know what I mean? I'm like, they're not going to stop. You just want to ban this or ban that. Like, that's not going to satisfy them. You know that, right? Like, it's just going to they're just going to keep asking for more and more and more. This is why bump stocks or suppressors now that I know they're talking about.
Negotiate with them.
Yeah.
They never care. Never.
No, exactly. And again, but they have that political monopoly on things that we all thoroughly enjoy. And I think this is why it's important for guys like myself, guys like you guys who have went out there, made a name for yourself, and talking about a lot of things that's involved in geek and fandom and nerd culture. And I think that's so important. That voice is so important, because I believe that's how this is that's how we're gonna win this. You know what I mean? We're going to win it by way of speaking out and using our platforms, because it's a demand for it. Obviously, It was just I feel like this past year, if nothing else, for a lot of, because think about it, a lot of us grew in this past year, like shot up, like pretty much a lot of us that are part of the same sort of posse, internet posse, if you will. We all shot up within a year, and I think that shows how a lot of people are sick and tired of it. But I think what we did, we showed people that it could be done, because we put a target on us, and it's like, fine, whatever. Like, let them talk down. Let them. We're gonna have hit pieces written on us. People are gonna make videos on us, and they're gonna try to shut us up and all that. But we at least out here, and I think in doing that, we're influencing more people to do it. And I think that's how the tide is gonna turn, if at all. It's going to turn by way of content creators, content commentators, to get out there and just be like, you know what, this is wrong, this is why, and this has to be stopped. And I think as that happens more and more and more, we'll then see the window start to get pushed the other way. And I think we're starting to at least see that a little bit, because again, all our channels are blowing up, and the people are just tired of this nonsense. They're tired of, it's like these SJWs, man. They move from fandom to fandom, right? They move from culture to culture and just try to bring it down, like burn that thing to the ground. It's like they went to Star Wars and said,
like a disease, man. Like a disease.
Yeah, it is what it is, right? Yeah. That's literally what it is. It's like once they get in there, they infiltrate. And once they get in there, they're trying to burn that thing to the ground, man. And people are tired of this. They're tired. I think a lot of people want us to Star Wars. It's like, if they could get a hold of Star Wars, nothing's off limits to them.
Yeah, nothing is
off limits. And when you consider the backing that Star Wars has had, if they can get to that and screw that up, trust me, it's only a matter of time before they move to anything else. And now we're seeing that in comics a lot, which you got all these like sort of alternative creators are coming out. You're seeing people like Comicsgate and all these different alternatives that are coming about, because people are just tired of this. And I think that it's good, but it does go to show that I don't think this is a war that we're going to win just by wit alone. Like, we got to just get out there and be numbers, man. And we got to engage with them, because they're not going to stop, bro. Like, if they can get Star Wars, they can get anything.